I think all physicists, when they're 10, 11, 12 years old, have this existential shock, this moment of epiphany, where all of a sudden they say to themselves, this is it. I want to become a physicist. For me, it was when my elementary school teacher walked into the room and announced that Albert Einstein had just died. A picture of his desk with the unfinished manuscript of his greatest unfinished work was flashed over the world. I was fascinated by that manuscript. What was inside that manuscript? What could be so difficult that the greatest mind that we'll know of this century could not finish? And at that point, I realized that this was more fascinating than any murder mystery. This was greater than any adventure story. I had to know what was in that manuscript, and I wanted to help complete that dream. When I was growing up outside San Francisco, I used to spend afternoons at the Japanese tea garden. Fish would swim just beneath the lily pads, totally oblivious of the third dimension. They could move forwards, backwards, left and right, but the concept of up made no sense to them. I could go right down to these fish, look at them, practically grab them with my hands, and yet I was invisible to them because I was in hyperspace. I was in the third dimension. How would the fish ever know that I exist? One day it rained, and when it rained, I saw ripples on the surface of the pond. Ripples in the third dimension, casting shadows on their world. Then I knew it. You see, we cannot see these higher dimensions, but these higher dimensions ripple. And when they ripple, they create waves in our universe. We physicists believe that we are the fish. We spend our lives in three dimensions, moving forwards, backwards, left, right, up, down, not realizing that there are perhaps other dimensions out there. And the secret of the universe may lie in unlocking the secret of hyperspace. I went to my mom one day and I said, Mom, can I have permission to build a 2.3 million electron volt electron particle accelerator in the garage? And she said, sure, why not? And don't forget to take out the garbage. Well, I took out the garbage and I went to Westinghouse and I got 400 pounds of transformer steel, 22 miles of copper wire, which we had to wind on the high school football field. And I finally built a 6 kilowatt, 2.3 million electron volt atom smasher. When I plugged it in, it consumed every single ounce of power in the house. And my poor mother, she would say, why couldn't I have a son who plays basketball? When things go wrong, I get on the ice and all the problems just melt away. Because once I'm on the ice rink, it's just me and Isaac Newton. I realize that Isaac Newton's laws are well understood for 300 years. I don't have to bat my brains against the quantum theory, against black holes and the Big Bang. It's just me and Isaac Newton skating on the ice, free of all the constraints that I had before.
I see kids surviving that would not have survived. And, you know, literally when I started, a child never was cured of leukemia. Now it's 80%. Many of the rewards that came were not anticipated. The Nobel Prize itself was the last thing in the world I would have thought of. The real reward was not the Nobel Prize. The real reward is having someone come up to me and thank me for their child's life. There really is no thrill that compares with that. I'm often asked whether there were these wonderful eureka moments when you knew that you had finally accomplished what you sought. But I don't think so. I think there are a lot of little eureka moments when you're heading for something and you suddenly find that the pieces begin to fall into place, but that doesn't mean you're there yet. It's never the kind of thing that's often described in movies or in books of suddenly the light dawned and you knew that you were there. It's not that quite sudden. It's years of suddenness.
How I really became a primatologist started on a kind of a fluke. I was at the Fillmore East watching Hard Rock, and then across the road there was a pet store, and entered the pet store and actually bought a monkey, and that changed my life. It was a nocturnal monkey that really intrigued me. It had beautiful big eyes, and it's just really charming. So it started out with just having a pet, and then I began to watch what the animal was really doing. I suddenly thought that it really needed one of its own kind. And I called all the pet stores to find out if they had any female owl monkeys, and they didn't. So I realized the only place I was going to find it would be the Amazon. So we went down to the Amazon and got the monkey a mate. After that, the questions started to nag. The questions started to nag. Because it's a monogamous primate. You know, it lives in pairs, and most primates don't. So I began kind of to be intrigued with this question of why one male and one female would stay together for the duration of one of their lifetimes.
I think it's just a gut feeling, knowing what is going to be the thing. And again, we don't know often until afterwards, but it just feels right. And so there are areas that I pursue that really have no immediate payoff. And in fact, a lot of our colleagues would say, why are you doing this? This is premature. Nobody's doing this yet. Wow, that's really crazy. But we'll do it partially because of exactly that, because nobody has gone there before and it looks interesting. It feels interesting and right.
I have that sense of getting a feeling that I'm onto something. I don't know necessarily how to do it yet, but I know it's doable. That kind of sweet intuition that you know that this can be done and nobody's done it before, that makes it more exciting.